in the opulent halls of a luxury hotel. She stepped into her aunt's shoes, taking on the role of a cleaner. Little did she know, her presence would catch the eye of a millionaire CEO, who mistook her for one of the esteemed guests wandering through the lavish corridors. The rain hammered mercilessly on the tin roof of the cramped apartment, each drop resonating like a countdown in Olivia's ears. The desk lamp flickered ominously for the third time that evening, casting elongated shadows that danced menacingly over her open textbooks. She hardly registered it at all, her eyes heavy with exhaustion from countless hours of relentless studying for the coveted medical scholarship, fixated on the same sentence, each repetition blurring into the next. Outside, thunder growled ominously, echoing like a distant predator lurking in the shadows. Within the stillness, the only sound was the relentless scratching of her pen, a rhythm that filled the air, until the sudden jolt of her phone ringing shattered the silence. The piercing sound jolted her from her thoughts. Her eyes flickered to the screen, a rush of anticipation coursing through her veins. Aunt Victoria, her heart plummeted. "Is anyone there, Auntie?" Her response came in a flash. A tense silence hung in the air, broken only by a rustling sound, followed by a voice that trembled, hoarse and filled with panic. "Olivia, I lost my footing." My ankle throbbed with a sharp pain, a reminder of the misstep that had led me to this moment. A sharp pain shot through my ankle, and I knew in that moment I had sprained it. The night is too dark for me to enter. Olivia sat up straight, her muscles coiling with anticipation. "What is happening? Are you all right?" I attempted to shake off the pain, but it clung to me like a shadow, relentless and overwhelming. I find myself unable to stand upright. "Olivia?" If I fail to appear, the looming threat of my contract being cancelled hangs over me like a dark cloud, ready to unleash its storm at any moment. My life hangs in the balance of probation. Last week, 2 other cleaners were already let go. Olivia was pierced by a sudden wave of anxiety, a feeling that gripped her tightly and refused to let go. Her aunt had poured her heart and soul into securing this position at Grand Avalon, the crown jewel of the city's opulent hotels. It was the sole lifeline that tethered them to stability after the storm of her parents' passing. Olivia understood the weight of the job, its significance stretching beyond her aunt's expectations and entwining with the very fabric of her own future. "I don't know what to do," Victoria whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. "Olivia, I beg you, just this once, step in for me. Only a few rooms to clean, just for tonight." Olivia stood still, her thoughts spiraling in a whirlwind. In just 2 days, the moment that could change everything loomed ahead. Her scholarship interview. Hours of material loomed ahead of her, an endless sea of notes and concepts waiting to be conquered. But this was no ordinary shift. Victoria had hinted earlier that her assignment tonight would take her to the executive floor, the exclusive realm reserved for the elite. The guests gathered there were the epitome of wealth, the elite among the elite. In the shadowy corridors of power, where ambition intertwines with deception, a cast of characters emerges, each one driven by their own desires, each one a master of manipulation. The air crackles with tension as alliances form and dissolve. Secrets are whispered, and the stakes rise higher with every calculated move. In this world, nothing is as it seems, and every decision could lead to triumph or ruin. Chief executive officers, every detail had to be flawless. One misstep, and Victoria's career could hang by a thread. Rain lashed against the cracked pavement outside, each drop a relentless reminder of the storm brewing in the distance. With a deep breath, she steeled herself for what lay ahead. "Okay," she whispered, her voice barely breaking the silence. "I'm ready to take that leap." You will?" Victoria's voice trembled with disbelief, quickly giving way to a surge of overwhelming gratitude. "Oh, Olivia, I can't express how grateful I am. I truly appreciate it." The uniform hangs pristine and untouched, a silent sentinel behind the door waiting for the moment it will be called into action. The staff ID lies hidden in the pocket. Simply swipe to gain access through the side entrance. Olivia nodded, a silent agreement echoing in the space between them, though Victoria remained blissfully unaware of the gesture. Pause. "Apply ice to your ankle. I will handle it." Once the call ended, Olivia swiftly transformed her appearance. The uniform hung loosely on her frame, its coarse, worn fabric whispering tales of countless days spent in service. She gazed intently at her reflection in the mirror. Once destined for the white coat of a medical student, now navigating the corridors as a hotel cleaner. With a swift motion, she gathered her hair into a low bun, mirroring the way her aunt had always done it. As she secured the style, she slipped the staff ID into her jacket, a small but significant gesture that marked the beginning of her journey. With a tattered umbrella clutched tightly in her hand, she stepped out of the apartment and hurried to catch the last bus downtown, the weight of the evening pressing against her like the storm clouds above. The city lights flickered like distant stars, their reflections dancing in the rain-soaked streets, twisted and transformed by the relentless downpour. As she stepped into the shadow of the Grand Avalon, a shiver of uncertainty coursed through her. She lingered at the back entrance, her gaze drawn upward to the majestic edifice that seemed to rise from the depths of a fantastical reverie. She had never crossed the threshold, not even to glimpse the lobby. Taking a moment to steady herself, she swiped the ID, the card glinting under the harsh fluorescent lights, and pushed through the staff entrance, her heart racing with anticipation. The air within enveloped me in a cool embrace, carrying a subtle hint of citrus mingled with the sharp scent of polish. As she entered the room, an exhausted supervisor acknowledged her presence with a weary nod, his eyes glued to the clipboard in front of him, lost in a world of numbers and notes. Time slipped away, and here you are, arriving when the world has already moved on. Who will take Victoria's place? He inquired, his voice devoid of any warmth. Olivia's head dipped in a silent agreement, her eyes glinting with unspoken thoughts. The executive floor, perched high on the 10th and 16th levels, loomed above the bustling city below. Unexpectedly, a group of VIPs returned, their presence sending ripples of intrigue through the air. You will delve into both realms. Leave no stone unturned. In silence, he thrust a card into her hands before pivoting on his heel, leaving her in a whirlwind of unspoken thoughts. With a surge of adrenaline, Olivia heaved the heavy cart into the elevator, her heart racing wildly in her chest. She had etched her aunt's routine into her memory through countless dinner conversations, yet executing it herself felt like stepping into uncharted territory. The elevator doors whispered shut with a delicate chime, and she embarked on a descent into a realm that felt worlds apart from her own. As she climbed higher, a mantra slipped from her lips, just a few rooms to tidy. Just tonight, then freedom awaits. Yet destiny had woven a different tapestry. The staff elevator slid open with a gentle chime, and Olivia steered the cleaning cart into the dimly lit expanse of the 10th floor. The hallway carpeting enveloped her feet in a luxurious embrace, a rich navy hue edged with glimmering gold, pristine and immaculate, surpassing any floor she had ever known. The soft glow of crystal sconces bathed the hall in an ethereal light, transforming it into a quiet palace, yet the silence hung heavy in the air, unsettling and thick with anticipation. She gripped the cart handle with a fierce intensity, her fingers icy against the backdrop of the building's warmth. Everything felt like a dream, a vivid tapestry of the extraordinary. Only hours before, she had been bent over a pile of medical textbooks, lost in a world of knowledge and discovery. Now, she stood there in a faded cleaning uniform that hung loosely from her frame, the fabric whispering secrets of its past. An ID, bearing a name that wasn't hers, was clipped to the front, a silent testament to her hidden identity. She strode past the imposing double doors, each one marked with a stark number rather than a name, her mind swirling with vivid images of the lives contained within. CEOs plotting their next move, heirs basking in their inherited power, dignitaries weaving intricate webs of influence. She had delved into the complexities of individuals like them in her sociology class. Now she was meticulously polishing their floors, each stroke revealing the hidden luster beneath the surface. Her journey began in room 1501. The place lay empty, just as her aunt's hastily scrawled notes had indicated. With a swift motion, Olivia slid the MasterCard through the reader, the door creaking open to reveal the unknown beyond. The room was breathtaking, with its gleaming marble floors, sumptuous velvet drapes, and fresh lilies elegantly arranged in a crystal vase. With a few rapid blinks, she steeled herself and plunged into the task, just as her aunt had instructed. The trash lay empty, a silent witness to the meticulous care taken, Fresh towels awaited their moment, crisp and inviting. Surfaces gleamed, each wipe revealing a pristine shine. The vacuum hummed softly, a steady rhythm in the quiet room. The minibar stood ready, its contents checked and arranged with precision. Toiletries were aligned, each item perfectly spaced, a testament to order and attention to detail. She moved with a swift urgency, her every action fueled by a surge of nerves. Each knock and distant voice sent her heart racing, a wild rhythm echoing in her chest. What if someone dared to question her? What if someone uncovered the shocking truth that she was missing from the employee list? The fear clung to her, an ever-present shadow that whispered doubts and darkened her every step. Just as she was putting the final touches on her task, the walkie-talkie on the cart erupted with a crackling sound. Is anyone free on the 10th? A cry for help echoes through the darkness. The presidential suite on the 16th floor awaits urgent attention, its grandeur obscured by the dust of neglect, yearning for a meticulous cleansing to restore its former glory. A guest departed unexpectedly, their stay cut short by a sudden medical emergency. A reset is essential before the next guest steps through the door. Is there anyone who can step in? Silence enveloped the space, thick and palpable, as if the world held its breath in anticipation. Olivia paused, uncertainty gripping her heart. Her heart pounded fiercely, drowning out the relentless static that surrounded her. With a trembling thumb, she grasped the walkie and pressed the button, her heart racing in the silence that followed. I can do it. I'm on the brink of completing 15-1501. I accept it. Understood. Room 1601 beckoned with an air of mystery, its door slightly ajar, revealing shadows that danced within. What secrets lay behind that threshold, waiting to be uncovered? Should you require it? The private elevator awaits your command. Complete it swiftly. The next guest's arrival is shrouded in uncertainty, their timing a fluid mystery waiting to unfold. Olivia's throat tightened as she swallowed, the weight of the moment pressing down on her. The suite loomed ahead, its opulence both inviting and intimidating, a threshold to secrets waiting to be uncovered. With meticulous care, she ensured that 1501 was left in pristine condition, just as she had discovered it. Then she deftly maneuvered the cart back toward the service elevator, her mind racing with anticipation. The ascent to the 16th floor was a grueling battle, each step feeling like an insurmountable burden pressing down on her chest, intensifying with every level she conquered. As the door creaked open, a soft gasp escaped her lips. The 16th floor stood apart, a realm unlike any other. The space boasted just 4 rooms, each resembling a lavish apartment, with hallways so expansive they could easily accommodate a parked car. The walls came alive with original art, each piece telling its own story, while a soft instrumental melody wove through the air, emanating from hidden speakers, creating an atmosphere thick with intrigue. She approached 1601, the double doors slightly open, inviting her into the unknown. A gleaming golden placard stood proudly beside it, proclaiming the Hart Presidential Suite. As she crossed the threshold, her breath hitched in her throat. It was something far more enigmatic than a mere hotel room. It stood as a magnificent palace. The suite unfolded into a magnificent living area, where soaring ceilings met intricate chandeliers, and floor-to-ceiling windows captured the tempestuous skyline beyond. Bookshelves rose majestically from the rich mahogany walls, while a baby grand piano sat elegantly in one corner, its polished surface gleaming softly. The marble fireplace, still faintly warm, whispered secrets of the evening's warmth, inviting all who entered to linger a little longer. Olivia stood paralyzed, her fingers clutching the cart tightly. With a sudden jolt, she pulled herself from the depths of her thoughts and plunged into the task at hand. She glided through the room, each movement deliberate and filled with purpose, as she remade the bed with an almost sacred attention to detail. The pillows were fluffed to perfection, and the bathroom sparkled under her diligent scrubbing, reflecting her unwavering dedication. She arranged each perfume bottle and glass with meticulous precision, as if they were instruments in a life-or-death operation. As she toiled, her mind drifted to the enigmatic soul who inhabited this peculiar space. What had they done to warrant such a fate? How could anyone possibly require this vast expanse all to themselves? Time slipped away, an hour fading into the shadows. Olivia knelt beside the fireplace, her fingers tracing the last remnants of soot from the marble. when a soft click echoed from the door behind her. At first she remained still, her back turned, as if the world behind her held secrets too heavy to bear. She wondered if it was the housekeeping staff, returning to verify something left undone. But then, from the shadows, a voice emerged, deep and steady, resonating with an unsettling calm that sent shivers down her spine. What a twist this is! Olivia's hands halted in mid-motion, the cloth suspended in the air. That voice held a weight that transcended the mundane, echoing with an unsettling familiarity that sent shivers down the spine. As she pivoted with deliberate slowness, the figure in the doorway emerged from the shadows, unmistakable and hauntingly familiar. He stood tall and sharp-suited, a striking figure even in the late hour. Silver streaked his temples, and a phone lingered in his hand, giving him the air of someone who had just emerged from the glossy pages of a business magazine cover. His eyes narrowed, a predatory glint flickering as they roamed over her face. He lifted an eyebrow, a tight, knowing smile playing on his lips, hinting at secrets untold. Unbeknownst to me, the night held secrets yet to be revealed, but I could only assume that Grand Avalon still possessed the art of captivating its elite clientele. Olivia's mouth parted, then closed tightly. A chill coursed through her veins. What is happening? What are you trying to say? She faltered, her words tumbling out in a breathless rush. The man tilted his head, a glimmer of amusement dancing in his eyes. There seems to be a misunderstanding here, and I'd appreciate if we could resolve it calmly. Yet, I appreciate it all the same. Olivia's eyes widened in terror as she locked her gaze onto him. I'm just cleaning, she whispered, her voice barely breaking the silence that enveloped the room. He blinked, a flicker of confusion crossing his face, quickly giving way to skepticism. So, you're a cleaner? Olivia found herself speechless. Her eyes brimmed with unshed tears, a storm of emotions swirling within her. With a swift motion, she seized her cloth, rose to her feet, and retreated into the shadows. I'm sorry, she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. I'm going to leave. She abandoned the cart, her aunt's ID, and everything else, and fled into the shadows. As Olivia pivoted to confront him, the silence of the presidential suite fractured, sending ripples of tension through the air. Her hands quivered as she clutched the cloth, breath hitching in her throat, eyes wide with a tumult of confusion and dread. The man by the door scrutinized her, his gaze lingering in a heavy silence. He placed his phone on the side table, with careful intent, his eyes locked onto her, as if he were searching for a way to fit her into a puzzle that eluded him. He advanced a few paces, his voice dropping to a low murmur, laced with a hint of sardonic amusement. You know, he said, his voice low and edged with frustration, I'm afraid there's been some confusion. I didn't expect you to be in this situation. Olivia's eyes fluttered open, a moment of disbelief washing over her. What did you just say? The hotel, he explained, as if sharing a secret that only she could understand. They prefer to keep their VIP guests shrouded in secrecy, an unexpected twist in the shadows of the night. They had crossed this line before, yet I found myself pleading with them to cease their actions. He gestured toward her with a vague sweep of his hand, as if that single movement could unravel the complexities of their unspoken tension. Olivia's heart raced wildly within her chest. Words escaped her, lost in the whirlwind of disbelief. He mistook her silence for a mere performance, a calculated move in a game he thought he understood. There's no reason to feel anxious, he said, his smile barely concealing the intensity in his eyes. Truly, you can let go of your worries. After a grueling day that seemed to stretch on forever, all I yearned for was the solace of silence tonight. You can skip the entire ritual. The words pierced through the air, chilling her to the core. What is happening? She finally breathed the words into the silence. You are not the first girl they have chosen to send into the unknown. Yet this time, they chose a path that was more understated, less ostentatious, and carried an air of innocence. I have to confess, their talent for spotting a captivating performance is truly remarkable. Olivia's face went pale, as if all the life had been sucked from it. What about the performance? Her voice reverberated through the silence. He nodded, a soft chuckle escaping his lips, echoing in the stillness around him. Your presence has a unique quality, and I'm starting to realize that this interaction is more meaningful than I initially understood. Your presence here is striking, and I believe there's much more to this situation than I initially thought. She recoiled, her breath hitching as though he had dealt her a blow. Her lips parted, a gasp of disbelief escaping as the weight of the moment settled around her. I'm not... she attempted to voice, her words hanging in the air like a fragile thread, ready to snap at any moment, but her throat constricted, a vice of fear tightening around her voice. Her voice soared, tinged with a raw urgency that echoed through the air. I believe my worth lies beyond superficial assumptions, and I want to be respected for who I truly am. For a fleeting moment, the man's expression wavered, revealing a glimpse of uncertainty. I'm here, cleaning, she snapped, her voice cutting through the air, laced with a raw edge of hurt. My aunt was unable to attend, and now I find myself stepping in to assist her. And that was it. I refused to be a mere pawn in someone else's twisted dream. The final word burst from her lips like a sharp slap, echoing in the silence. The laughter faded from his expression, giving way to a shadow of uncertainty that danced in his eyes. Hold on, he urged. Are you truly serious? Olivia's eyes sparkled with an enchanting light. Her chest heaved with urgency, each breath a frantic whisper of desperation. How could you possibly think that was acceptable? Even as I stand here in this dimly lit room, clad in a cheap uniform that clings to my skin, I will not be treated as though my worth is defined by this situation. He advanced, a surge of alarm coursing through him. I hadn't intended for things to unfold this way, but she was already in motion. Her breath caught in her throat. She averted her gaze, her hand brushing away the tears that stained her cheeks. As she made her way out, her elbow collided with the cleaning cart, sending it careening off balance. Her aunt's ID badge tumbled from her chest, landing on the carpet with a soft thud, its face hidden from view. He shouted after her once more, desperation lacing his voice. Hold on. I've just realized I've erred. I didn't. Olivia yanked the door open, bursting into the hallway, the opulent silence slamming shut behind her, like an impenetrable barrier. Inside, William remained paralyzed, caught in a moment that felt both eternal and suffocating. His gaze fixated on the door, a heavy silence enveloping him, before he gradually shifted his attention to the cart she had abandoned. He approached, his heart racing, and bent down to retrieve the ID from the ground, his eyes scanning the name with a mix of curiosity and dread. Victoria Mendez stood at the edge of the world, her heart racing with anticipation. It wasn't Olivia. He cast a wary glance over his shoulder at the door, his brows knitting together in concern. He was a man of many facets, ruthless in the boardroom, icy with those he didn't know, yet deep down, he was not cruel by nature. And what had he just done? It echoed in his mind, each repetition stirring a deeper sense of dread. Her gaze pierced through him, not with the exaggerated offense of a dramatist, but with a raw, authentic pain that resonated deep within. He raked his fingers through his hair, exhaling deeply, as if releasing the weight of the world with that single breath. In the dimly lit hallway, Olivia raced up the staff stairs, her heart pounding as she took 2 steps at a time. Hot tears streaming down her cheeks, each drop a testament to her turmoil. Never before had she felt such a deep, searing humiliation coursing through her veins. All she desired was to aid her aunt, complete her mission in silence, and return home. Yet, in that moment, she found herself misjudged, perceived as something grotesque, something beneath the essence of humanity. His gaze had pierced through her, reducing her to nothing more than a mere accessory in his opulent world, igniting a fire of resentment deep within her chest. She stumbled into the staff lounge, her heart racing as she tore off the uniform with trembling hands, desperate to shed the weight of the day. In a flurry, she slipped into her own clothes, seeking solace in the familiar fabric. Her aunt's ID had vanished, but turning back was not an option. Not at this moment. He slipped out of the hotel through the familiar back entrance, the biting night air striking her like a sudden blow. The rain had diminished to a soft drizzle, yet her face was already drenched. She trudged along the winding path home, her mind a tempest of swirling thoughts. On a fateful night, A single, seemingly innocuous favor would set the stage for an unexpected turn of events. It was meant to be nothing more than that. Little did she know that a single misunderstanding within the opulent confines of a luxury suite would set in motion a chain of events that would irrevocably alter the trajectory of her life. William lingered in the presidential suite, the air thick with the echoes of her departure. Long after the girl had slipped away into the shadows, the silence enveloped him, a heavy shroud that weighed upon his very soul. The embers in the marble hearth had long since faded, but he lingered by its cold remnants, his gaze fixed intently on the ID badge clutched tightly in his hand. Victoria Mendez, it whispered. A name that echoed with secrets untold. He flipped it over once more, hoping against hope that the name would somehow transform. Yet, the image on the badge bore no resemblance to the girl who had just darted from the room. A sudden twist gripped his gut, a foreboding sensation that sent shivers down his spine. He had witnessed countless women wield charm and manipulation like weapons, seeking access, favors, or money with a cunning glint in their eyes. He had honed his senses to detect deceit from a distance, like a predator sensing its prey lurking in the shadows. But tonight, there was an unsettling dissonance about her that lingered in the air. She had not engaged in flirtation. She had not held back. Fear flickered in her eyes, a deep wound etched across her face, and a sense of humiliation hung heavy in the air. Not like a mere liar, but like a soul ensnared in the web of a heinous accusation. William's fingers brushed against his jaw, a surge of guilt coiling tightly within his chest. He strode purposefully to the phone on the desk, his fingers poised over the buttons as he dialed the security office. "This is Hart," he declared. "I demand access to the hallway and suite camera footage from the last 2 hours. 16th floor. At this very moment." "Yes, Mr. Hart," came the swift reply, charged with anticipation. 10 minutes later, he found himself seated before a flickering monitor in the dimly lit private office downstairs, his eyes glued to the footage unfolding before him. He observed the girl, her name a mystery, as she maneuvered the cart into the dimly lit hallway. She fought to navigate it, her confusion evident in every hesitant movement through the unfamiliar terrain. She stepped into the suite with unwavering confidence, her actions swift and precise, each movement executed with a clarity that left no room for allure or anything amiss. She stood alone, the silence enveloping her like a shroud, devoid of any handoff or indication that this meeting had been orchestrated. She was caught in the web of duty, navigating the shadows of another's responsibilities. "Who is she, really?" William inquired softly. The head of security shifted, a wave of unease washing over him. The badge she wielded was once the property of Victoria Mendez, a fixture among the cleaning staff for years, yet that was not the essence of Victoria. "We have the capability to delve into employee records and execute facial recognition, should that be your desire." "No," William interjected, his voice cutting through the air with a sharpness that demanded attention. "Unleash every detail you possess about Mendez. Location, timeline, details about loved ones." In the dim light of his suite, William leaned forward, the file glowing on his tablet, drawing him into its depths. Victoria Mendez, 57, had dedicated 7 years of her life to Grand Avalon, her record unblemished by any disciplinary marks. Residing in a humble working-class neighborhood east of the city, she carried the weight of responsibility for one dependent, Olivia Mendez, who was listed as her emergency contact. The name struck him like a thunderclap. He fixed his gaze on it, the seconds stretching into an eternity. It had to be her, Olivia. There was no doubt in his mind. He was torn between two unsettling realizations: the sting of having insulted a young woman who was desperately trying to assist her injured aunt, and the chilling recognition that he had regarded her with the same icy indifference he typically reserved for mere transactions. Her face surged back into his thoughts with vivid intensity, wide brown eyes shimmering with unshed tears, the tremor in her voice echoing the depth of her anguish. He was a man who never wavered in his convictions. Tonight, he was consumed by an insatiable urge, unable to pull away from the darkness that beckoned him. He rose suddenly, his heart racing, and moved toward the window, drawn by an unseen force. The rain had ceased, yet the city beneath glistened with the remnants of the storm's glow. For years, he had navigated his existence with meticulous precision, orchestrating deals, analyzing data, and wielding control over every aspect of his world. Emotions were a burden, an unwelcome weight that complicated everything. Individuals were either treasures or burdens. But that girl, Olivia, was something entirely different. She existed in a way that felt undeniable, a presence that stirred the very air around her. In a single, careless assumption, he had stripped away her humanity, leaving her feeling less than human. With a clenched jaw, William pivoted from the window, the weight of his thoughts heavy in the air. With a swift motion, he grasped his phone and punched in the number for his executive assistant. "Charlotte," he murmured, his voice cutting through the haze of her sleep. "At the break of dawn, ensure that a private meeting with the hotel manager is on the agenda. I require a comprehensive account of every cleaning staff member who has been assigned to the executive floors in the last 72 hours. Seek out a phone number or an address for Olivia Mendez." Charlotte hesitated, her breath catching in her throat. "Absolutely, sir. Could you share the reason behind that?" William took a deep breath, his gaze fixed on the ID. The badge lay untouched on the nightstand, a silent sentinel of the past. "I made a mistake," he confessed, his voice steady yet laced with urgency. "And I will make it right." 2 days later, William found himself facing a weathered green door, its paint peeling, nestled within the dimly lit corridor of a low-income housing complex on the city's gritty east side. The building exuded a musty aroma of mildew and boiled vegetables, a jarring juxtaposition to the opulent marble and refreshing eucalyptus fragrance that enveloped the Grand Avalon. With a deliberate movement, he straightened the collar of his coat, then rapped twice on the door, the sound echoing in the stillness. The door groaned as it swung open, revealing a woman in her late 50s. Her eyes darted with caution, scanning the figure before her, until recognition flickered in her gaze, sparked by the images she had seen in photographs and news articles. "Mr. Hart?" she inquired, her voice laced with astonishment. With a courteous nod, he affirmed his agreement. "So, you must be Miss Mendez." With a determined blink, she pushed the door wider, her weight resting heavily on the cane as she leaned into the threshold. "Forgive me," she whispered, her voice trembling with a mix of regret and desperation. "My ankle is still in the throes of recovery. Step inside, if you can overlook the chaos that surrounds us." The apartment, though modest in size, radiated an undeniable sense of cleanliness and order. A battered couch loomed in the heart of a humble living room, flanked by a precarious tower of medical tomes and a collection of empty tea mugs, each one a silent witness to countless hours spent in study and reflection. The television lay silent, its glow extinguished, while the air thickened with the soothing aroma of lavender intertwined with the sharpness of menthol ointment. As William crossed the threshold, his gaze swept over the unassuming space, each detail whispering secrets of its own. He had navigated boardrooms adorned with grandeur that eclipsed the finest ballrooms, yet this modest, intimate space enveloped him in an unexpected silence. "I mean no harm," he said softly, his voice laced with sincerity. Victoria sank onto the couch, a weary smile flickering across her face, as if the weight of the world had finally found a moment of respite. "I had a feeling about that. You may not be one to seek legal battles, but I can sense the reason for your presence." William arched an eyebrow, curiosity flickering in his gaze. Victoria's voice cut through the silence, revealing the truth that had lingered in the shadows. "You figured out it wasn't me cleaning that night." A whisper from one of the staff reached my ears, revealing that you had been probing for answers. He nodded slowly, his thoughts drifting to Olivia. "Indeed, I came to understand that I had erred, and it was a grave misstep." Victoria's gaze fell to the ground, her fingers nervously twisting the hem of her sweater, a silent storm brewing within her. Her intentions were pure, a desperate attempt to reach out and offer her hand in my time of need. I had fallen, the sharp pain of my twisted ankle shooting through me, and a chilling thought gripped my mind. If I missed that shift, I might lose my job for good. She made the bold decision to go, just for one night. William held his tongue, the weight of unspoken words hanging heavily in the air. "Please, don't tell anyone," Victoria implored, her voice barely above a whisper, as if the very air around us could betray her secret. "She warned me that if anyone discovered I wasn't part of the staff, my job would be on the line. She believed she could slip in, tidy up a few rooms, and vanish without a trace, unnoticed by anyone." Yet, a voice broke through the silence, William murmured. Victoria gave a subtle nod, her eyes glinting with unspoken thoughts. Her tears have flowed endlessly since that moment. His gaze drifted back to the books sprawled across the table, each one a silent promise of adventure waiting to be uncovered. Medical school? In the twilight of her academic journey, she stands on the precipice of opportunity, fervently applying for a scholarship that could change everything. Juggling 2 part-time jobs, she pushes through the long nights, studying until the clock strikes midnight. Despite my warnings that she's igniting the flame at both ends, she insists this is the only path forward. William exhaled deeply, the air escaping his lungs like a whisper of secrets untold. She was not worthy of the words that escaped my lips. No, Victoria conceded, yet she grasped the reasons behind your thoughts. She understands the way people like her are perceived, particularly by those like you. Her voice held no accusation, only the weary weight of undeniable truth. William rose to his feet. May I have a moment to speak with her? May I have a moment to speak with her? Victoria's gaze lingered on him, a silent exchange passing between them, before she finally nodded. She spends the majority of her day on campus, tucked away in the med building, room 213. After class, she dedicates her time to the free clinic, where every moment pulses with purpose and the weight of lives hanging in the balance. She stands out in a crowd, impossible to overlook. The university campus thrummed with energy, students darting by on bikes, while others gathered in clusters, engrossed in their laptops, the sharp clatter of coffee cups punctuating the air. William loomed like a solitary lighthouse, amidst a turbulent sea of youth, his tall figure clad in a sharp suit, an unmistakable presence in a world that felt foreign to him. He stepped into the medical building, his heart racing as he navigated the sterile halls, finally spotting room 213 with a sense of urgency. Through the glass window of the clinic reception, he caught a glimpse of her, Olivia. She sat at the desk, meticulously arranging medication samples into their designated trays, each label a promise of healing waiting to be fulfilled. Her hair was pulled back with precision, framing her face, while the white coat draped over her frame, its size hinting at a story untold. Though her eyes were heavy with fatigue, she pressed on with unwavering determination. He rapped gently on the door, the sound barely breaking the silence that enveloped the room. Olivia's gaze shot upward, her body stiffening in an instant. She rose to her feet slowly, her lips parting in disbelief as the weight of the moment settled around her like a thick fog. What brings you to this place? Her voice trembled, fragile and wary, as if each word was a delicate step on uncertain ground. I have come to apologize, he declared. She paused, uncertainty gripping her heart. Her fingers clutched the edge of the desk, knuckles white with tension. If you're here to report me or my aunt, he interrupted softly, his voice laced with an undercurrent of tension. Never would I. Olivia, I came to understand just how mistaken I truly was. I watched the footage unfold before my eyes. I witnessed your dedication, the way you moved with precision and reverence in every task you undertook. You were utterly sincere. You were nothing like the monster I painted you to be. Her eyes fluttered, a fresh wave of tears threatening to spill over. I misjudged you, terribly, he pressed on, his voice thick with emotion. For years I've been surrounded by those who seek only to take from me. I've grown accustomed to expecting the darkest outcomes. That night, I succumbed to the weight of my cynicism, but you, he choked on the words. In that moment, your heart was set on one singular purpose: to reach out and offer a lifeline to someone you cherish deeply. Olivia's lower lip quivered, a silent storm brewing within her. She averted her gaze, her hand instinctively rising to shield her face. In the stillness, William held his breath, anticipation hanging thick in the air as she searched for the words that would break the silence. I never intended to find myself in your room, she confessed, her voice trembling with emotion. All I wanted was to excel in my work. My aunt is my entire world. I know, he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper, and you did more than just a good job. Your words echoed in my mind, a haunting reminder that some treasures in this world cannot be bought. Her gaze snapped to him, eyes wide with surprise. His smile was warm and sincere, devoid of any trace of arrogance. In all my encounters with countless souls, Olivia, None have ever displayed the profound strength and quiet humility that you revealed in that fleeting moment on that unforgettable night. She stood in silence, tears cascading down her cheeks, the walls around her heart beginning to crumble. For the first time since that dreadful night, she felt a surge of clarity wash over her, a sense of being truly seen, rather than shrouded in shame. With cautious determination, William advanced, his hand reaching out into the unknown. "Can I have the chance to set things straight?" As twilight descended, Olivia found herself at her desk, the soft murmur of the campus clinic lingering in the air, wrapping around her like a familiar shroud. With heavy eyelids and the weight of a long day of rotations pressing down on her, she rubbed her eyes, just as her phone buzzed softly beside her, breaking the silence of the moment. The screen flickered to life, revealing a message that beckoned. "Would you be available for lunch tomorrow? I have a matter on my mind that I'd like to explore with you, free of any pressure." Ugh. Her fingers lingered above the screen, a heartbeat of hesitation, before she finally typed back, "Okay, noon, perfect." When she encountered William the following day, it was not amidst the opulence of a lavish restaurant, or the exclusivity of a private lounge, but rather at a quaint cafe tucked away near campus. Her cherished study haven. The coffee was robust, the chairs groaned with age, yet the sunlight poured through the windows, casting a warm glow that felt almost magical. He was already there, perched at a small corner table, 2 cups waiting expectantly before him. As he caught sight of her, he rose to his feet, shedding the image of the towering CEO splashed across glossy magazine covers. Instead, he appeared as a man clad in a simple navy sweater and dark jeans, his height almost overwhelming the space, yet somehow, he seemed to belong there. "I took a chance," he said, his voice low and filled with intrigue as he extended one of the cups toward her. The girl behind the counter leaned in, her voice barely above a whisper, as if sharing a secret. "You always order this," she said, a knowing smile playing on her lips. Olivia grasped it, her heart racing with astonishment. "It all came rushing back to you." "I strive to hold on to the things that matter," he confessed, his voice laced with a raw sincerity that rendered her speechless. They engaged in a deep conversation, sharing tales of school life, recounting the patients she had encountered, and navigating the tumultuous struggle of balancing studies with the fight for survival. In the midst of a tense silence, William's hand slipped into his coat pocket, and with a deliberate motion, he drew out a folder, placing it on the table with a weight that seemed to shift the very air around them. "This is from the Heart Foundation," he declared. "A groundbreaking scholarship program has emerged, designed for medical students who have shown extraordinary resilience and unwavering character in the face of challenges. It offers comprehensive tuition coverage, a generous living stipend, and unparalleled access to research and field opportunities within our expansive global health initiatives." Olivia's gaze locked onto it, her breath caught in her throat. He locked his eyes with hers, a soft intensity enveloping them both. "It's not an act of charity. You fought for this. That night in that suite, you became part of a story that was far more than just cleaning a room. Your display of dignity surpassed what many achieve in an entire lifetime." She slowly shook her head, a silent storm brewing within her. "I refuse to accept this merely due to your sense of guilt." "It's not guilt," he whispered, his voice barely breaking the silence that hung between them. "It's the pursuit of acknowledgement and reverence." With trembling fingers, she pried open the folder, her heart racing in anticipation. Inside, her name loomed large, and a tightness gripped her chest. As the weeks unfolded, their exchanges deepened, beginning with brief check-ins that gradually evolved into lengthy, captivating conversations. At times, he would inquire about the progress of her exams. At times, she would inquire about the outcomes of his recent board meeting, or the exotic destinations he had explored. She had never anticipated a response from him, yet time and again he surprised her with his thoughtful replies. Sometimes laced with humor, they always carried a quiet patience that sent a shiver down her spine. Olivia couldn't shake the thoughts of him, no matter how hard she tried to push them away. William sensed a profound change in the air around him. It began as a whisper of guilt, a shadow lurking in the corners of his mind. But now it had morphed into a relentless force he could no longer dismiss. Olivia's honesty pierced through his defenses, leaving him vulnerable and exposed. Her authenticity cut through the haze, refreshing and invigorating, like a breath of fresh air after an eternity shrouded in mist. He observed her interactions with others, her words laced with respect, her ears attuned to every voice. She recalled the names of the janitors and security guards, each one etched in her memory like a secret whispered in the shadows. Without a moment's hesitation, she paused to lend her aid to the strangers in need. She existed in a world where kindness flowed from her like a river, an instinctive force that shaped her every interaction. It brought him to his knees, igniting a profound realization of how he had wandered through life, lost and alone, until she stepped into his world. One afternoon, after completing a site visit for a new community clinic funded by his foundation, they lingered outside beneath the warm embrace of the late spring sun, the city buzzing softly in the background. "You've changed," she whispered, her voice barely breaking the silence. With a sudden intensity, William pivoted to face her. "In what way?" "You're softer," she whispered, her voice barely breaking the silence between them. He let out a low chuckle, the sound rich and inviting. "My board tells a different story." Olivia's smile flickered like a candle in the dark, but her gaze drifted, veiling her thoughts in shadows. "It seems to me that the world once loomed before you like a vast battlefield. Now it feels as though you're seeking to mend it, rather than dominate it." He hesitated, the silence stretching between them like a taut wire, waiting for the right moment to snap. Then, in a hushed tone, he confessed, "You made me want to." Her gaze snapped back to him, eyes wide with surprise. William edged forward, his presence subtle yet filled with genuine intent. "Olivia, I have forged empires, brokered billion-dollar deals, and stood in the presence of kings and presidents. Yet nothing has unsettled me more than the way you gazed at me that night, when I faltered in understanding you. And nothing has lingered in my mind longer than the grace you extended in the aftermath." Olivia's heart raced, each beat echoing in her ears. "We're from different worlds," she whispered, her voice barely breaking the silence that hung between us. "I am not meant to be a part of your world." "You couldn't be more mistaken," he declared, his voice steady yet inviting. "You hold the power to choose your own destiny, and if you'll let me, I yearn to step into that realm with you, no matter where it may lead." She scanned his face, hunting for arrogance, for pretense, yet discovered only an undeniable truth. For the first time, a genuine smile broke across her face, radiant and unrestrained. It wasn't the allure of his title as CEO that captivated her. It was William himself. In that moment, fear melted away, leaving only the thrill of possibility. A year slipped by, each moment a whisper, yet laden with significance. Olivia emerged from medical school, her graduation a testament to her relentless dedication. The white coat ceremony, a pivotal moment, was steeped not in grand celebration, but in a profound, silent pride that resonated deep within her soul. With determination etched on her face, she navigated the bustling corridors of the hospital, her heart pounding with the weight of her new role as an intern. The long hours and meager pay faded into the background as she embraced the challenge ahead, each step resonating with a sense of purpose that fueled her ambition. She stood at the edge of the unknown, a fierce determination igniting within her. The future, once a shadowy specter that haunted her dreams, now lay before her like an uncharted territory, ripe with possibility. No longer did dread grip her heart. Instead, a thrilling anticipation coursed through her veins, urging her to step forward into the unfolding adventure that awaited. For the first time, it felt as if she had molded something with her very own hands. Throughout that year, William lingered in the background, a steadfast presence woven into the fabric of everyday life, neither demanding attention nor fading into the shadows. A poignant reminder during the intense exam season, a comforting cup of tea waiting backstage after her lecture, and those rare dinners where he absorbed her words, his silence speaking volumes. He never pushed her, never sought to dazzle her, and perhaps that was the very thing that captivated her the most. Then arrived the night of the Foundation's annual charity gala, a radiant evening set against the opulent backdrop of the Grand Avalon. Olivia faced the imposing grand doors that marked the beginning of her journey, adorned in a stunning navy gown that flowed elegantly around her. Her hair was swept back, framing her determined expression, and her posture radiated strength and resolve. The ballroom glimmered, each corner alive with the dance of cascading lights. Amidst the clinking of glasses and the soft murmur of polite exchanges, guests adorned in black tuxedos and shimmering gowns reveled in their glamorous surroundings, blissfully ignorant of the remarkable tale unfolding silently among them. As the evening drew to a close, William stepped forward, the weight of anticipation hanging in the air, ready to deliver the final speech of the night. He loomed beneath a shimmering golden chandelier, an aura of authority surrounding him. Yet when he spoke, his voice emerged with an unexpected tenderness, drawing in those around him. "Reverend, I've constructed a life defined by contracts and market shares," he declared, his gaze sweeping across the room. "For an eternity, I was convinced that true worth stemmed from status, riches, and the relentless pursuit of efficiency. Yet, this year, I encountered a person who shattered that belief entirely. A murmur rippled through the crowd, a wave of anticipation washing over them. Yet William pressed on, his eyes momentarily flickering to the back of the room. There, Olivia stood frozen, her breath held captive in the charged atmosphere. She was neither a partner nor a donor, nor did she hold the title of CEO. Our paths crossed in a moment that felt serendipitous, yet in hindsight, it seems fate had a hand in it. She stepped into my life for a fleeting night, illuminating the essence of grace, strength, and the profound beauty of true dignity. The silence enveloped them, thick and profound, more intense than ever. "I want to thank her," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "because without her, I might still be lost in the pursuit of what truly doesn't matter." He descended to a chorus of polite applause, yet his gaze remained locked on Olivia's. Later, as guests mingled and the music crescendoed, Olivia slipped away to the balcony, seeking a breath of fresh air. The city lights flickered beneath her, resembling a myriad of fireflies dancing in the night. And for a fleeting moment, she surrendered to the calm, allowing herself to breathe deeply. Olivia stood at the edge of the world, her heart pounding with the weight of the unknown. The air crackled with anticipation, and she could feel the pull of destiny drawing her closer to the precipice of adventure. What lay beyond was a mystery, but she was ready to embrace it, to dive headfirst into the depths of her fate. His voice whispered softly from behind her. She pivoted, her heart racing as the world around her shifted in an instant. William stepped forward, his expression a blend of vulnerability and hesitation, a striking contrast for a man who typically wielded words with unwavering confidence. "I meant every word," he declared, his voice steady and unwavering. She nodded, a swirl of uncertainty tightening in her chest, her mind racing for the right words that seemed to elude her grasp. He paused, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face before a faint smile broke through the tension. "I've brokered deals worth billions, standing toe-to-toe with the most merciless rivals in the game. Yet nothing has sent a shiver down my spine quite like this moment." Olivia's lips curled into a subtle smile, a hint of mischief dancing in her eyes. "What drives this question? What lies beneath the surface of that simple word? A quest for understanding, a yearning for clarity, or perhaps a deep-seated curiosity that beckons for answers? The very essence of inquiry, a spark igniting the flames of exploration. What secrets await in the shadows of this profound question?" His voice dropped to a low, sincere whisper, drawing her in closer. "What I feel for you is raw and unfiltered, a force that defies logic. It lacks any semblance of strategy. It feels hauntingly tangible." She gazed up at him, her eyes filled with a gentle warmth. "I once believed I had a grasp on the complexities of human nature," he pressed on, his voice laced with a hint of uncertainty. "I once believed I could decipher their thoughts, foresee their moves. On a stormy night, a girl appeared in my suite, her presence unexpected and unassuming. She wasn't there to dazzle or to seek anything for herself. Her sole purpose was to aid someone she cherished. In that moment, she shattered the very foundations of everything I believed to be true." Olivia's eyes burned with the threat of tears, a storm of emotions swirling within her. "I've fallen in love with you," he confessed, his voice low and earnest. "Not for any grand gestures or efforts to win me over, but for the essence of who you are in those quiet moments when you believe no one is watching. Your quiet courage captivates me, your compassion envelops me, and your integrity resonates deeply within my soul. I cherish you just the way you are, silence enveloped her, rendering her speechless for what felt like an eternity. The city lights danced and flickered, merging into a kaleidoscope of colors before her eyes. In that moment, without a single word, she extended her hand, intertwining her fingers with his. His breath hitched in his throat. Silence hung heavily in the air, her lips sealed tight, as if the weight of unspoken words held her captive. Yet, as her fingers curled softly around his, they whispered secrets that spoke volumes, revealing all he yearned to understand. The years that unfolded were not defined by bold headlines or grand spectacles, but by a tapestry of quiet, profound moments that whispered their significance into the fabric of life. As dawn broke, the world was still shrouded in a gentle haze, each step on the quiet path a promise of the day ahead. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee wafted through the sterile air of the hospital break room, a brief sanctuary amidst the chaos. And in the midst of hurried goodbyes, a note slipped into a suitcase whispered secrets of longing and anticipation, a silent companion for the journey that lay ahead. Olivia and William, once mere strangers caught in the web of a misunderstanding, forged a life that was not just simple, but profoundly real and unmistakably theirs. In the bustling corridors of the hospital, Olivia shone like a beacon, her sharp intellect and boundless empathy, drawing patients and colleagues alike into her orbit. With a heart full of compassion, she tended to her patients, recalling each name with care, unwavering in her spirit, despite the accolades that surrounded her. Her coat gleamed with a pristine shine, a reflection of her unwavering spirit, while her heart lay bare, welcoming all who dared to approach. Though William continued to command his vast empire, a subtle transformation began to take root within him as he started to redirect his focus. Driven by a newfound purpose, he transformed the Heart Foundation into a beacon of hope, pouring his energy into community clinics, scholarships, and mental health programs, vital elements he had once neglected. He transitioned from the towering heights of skyscrapers to the humble realm of service, shifting his focus from the allure of power to the profound call of purpose. Seek out Stepsanora. They kept their relationship shrouded in secrecy. In the shadows of their world, where whispers held more weight than headlines, an unspoken truth lingered. It was evident in the intensity of his gaze, a silent promise that wrapped around her like a warm embrace. And when he stepped into the room, her smile transformed, softening in a way that only he could evoke, revealing a bond that thrived beyond the reach of the public eye. Aunt Victoria, basking in the joy of her retirement, resided in the very home that Olivia had lovingly purchased for her. In the quiet embrace of her garden, she nurtured vibrant blooms, her laughter mingling with the playful chatter of neighborhood kids as they sewed together. Often, she would tease William, her eyes sparkling with mischief, about the unforgettable night their paths first crossed. You believed she was in on a grand hotel surprise, her laughter echoing in your mind. Now, behold the astonishment that unfolds. Years later, amidst the bright lights and hopeful faces at the opening of a children's hospital, William stood at the podium, clad in a simple gray suit, his heart pounding with a mix of pride and anticipation. Olivia lingered in the shadows, her breath held tight as she observed the unfolding scene from the wings. In my youth, he confessed, I believed that success was a relentless pursuit, an endless chase for more wealth, more acclaim. But one fateful night, I encountered a stranger who unveiled the truth to me. He halted, his eyes locking onto Olivia. Without a hint of pretense, she offered her unwavering support to someone dear to her heart. She asked for nothing, yet offered her all. She whispered to me that the most precious treasures in life aren't purchased. They are discovered in the most unexpected places. His smile was warm, his eyes glimmering with a gentle softness. In my quest for luxury, I stumbled upon a treasure far beyond material wealth, a woman whose very essence was a rare and precious gift. She needed nothing from the world, for she embodied everything that truly mattered. The room was enveloped in silence, a palpable tension hanging in the air, deeply stirring the emotions of all present. Olivia brushed away a tear, her heart swelling with emotion, and in that stillness, the truth became unmistakable. In a world where fate intertwines with the heart, this tale unfolds, not through the whims of chance, but through the profound depths of love. It speaks not of riches, but of true value, revealing how the most extraordinary adventures can spring forth from a solitary, unforeseen misstep. We are grateful for your presence as we navigated this profoundly emotional journey together. If this tale stirred your soul, evoked a subtle strength of compassion, or reignited your faith in the splendor of new beginnings, then it achieved precisely what we envisioned. At Soul-Stirring Stories, we weave narratives that mend the soul, ignite inspiration, and awaken the delicate emotions nestled within each of us. In a world where resilience shines like a beacon, love transcends every boundary, and ordinary souls embark on extraordinary journeys. The whispers of their hearts echo louder than any clamor. Each tale unfolds with quiet strength, revealing the profound impact of simple acts driven by deep emotion. If you experienced a spark today, we beckon you to join Soul-Stirring Stories, ensuring you never miss a tale that resonates deeply within you. For it is often in the tiniest moments that the most profound truths are revealed. Until we meet again in the next tale,